16.2 meristematic tissues and growth, tisu meristem dan pertumbuhan. 16.2.1 mengenal pasti jenis, bahagian dan tisu yang terlibat dalam pertumbuhan. So we have to know the types, the parts and the tissues involved in growth. Apakah tisu yang terlibat dalam pertumbuhan, dalam growth? So talking about growth, here comes the meristematic tissue. So meristematic tissue causes plants to grow, untuk membesar, bertumbuh. Let's see how. Okay, number one, meristematic tissue, tissue meristem are undifferentiated living tissues in plants which, H is missing there because of the image, which are responsible for plant growth. Tisu hidup yang belum membeza dalam tumbuhan yang bertanggungjawab dalam pertumbuhan-tumbuhan. So, what is tissue meristem? What is meristematic tissue? Are undifferentiated living tissues. Maknanya mereka ni macam stem cell. Ya, mereka ni macam stem cell, belum lagi differentiate. They are not differentiated yet. And because they are not differentiated yet, so they can carry out cell division. Mereka boleh melakukan cell division to produce new plant cell. Boleh melakukan pembagian sel untuk menghasilkan sel-sel tumbuhan yang baru. So are undifferentiated, belum lagi membeza, no. Living tissue, sel hidup yang bertanggungjawab, responsible for plant growth, untuk pertumbuhan-tumbuhan. So what causes a plant to grow? Apa yang menyebabkan tumbuhan bertumbuh? Apa yang menyebabkan tumbuhan semakin tinggi? Apa yang menyebabkan akar semakin tumbuh ke dalam tanah? Apa yang menyebabkan batang tumbuhan semakin membesar? All these are berkaitan dengan growth. Semua ini disebabkan oleh meristem tissue. Tissue meristem. So, mereka berkaitan dengan growth. B. Maknanya kalau tak ada meristematic tissue, if there is no meristem tissue, there will be no growth. Plants cannot grow. No. Alright. Nombor 2. Types of meristematic tissue. Apakah jenis tisu meristem? Ada 2 jenis. Yang pertama ialah apical meristems ataupun meristem apex. Apex ni bermaksud hujung. Itu maksud perkataan apex. Apical came from the word apex. A-P-E-X. Apex means hujung. Dan jenis kedua ialah lateral meristems ataupun dalam BM meristem lateral. So these are 2 types of meristematic tissue, tissue meristem yang kita akan belajar. Okay. Kalau kamu lihat muka surat yang seterusnya selepas-lepas ni, all these, semua ni berkaitan dengan growth. All these are about growth. And everything is to do with meristematic tissue. Everything. So, pasal growth, ada banyak di sini. Okay, let's see one by one. Okay, nombor 2. Apical meristem tissue, meristem apex. So kita mula dengan apical meristem tissue. Jumpa di mana? Located at the tips of plant shoots and roots. Terdapat di hujung pucuk dan hujung akar sahaja. So where apical meristems are found, di mana jumpa meristem apex, di 2 tempat ini sahaja. Tip of the plant shoot, hujung. Sebab tu saya tadi cakap, saya beritahu apa tadi? Apex ni membawa maksud hujung. So, satu di hujung pucuk atas sana, satu lagi di hujung akar di bawah sana. So hujung pucuk dengan hujung. This is the hujung pucuk. This is the hujung akar. So these are the places where apical meristem tissue meristem apex dijumpai di dua tempat ini sahaja. Okay. Lateral meristem tissue ataupun meristem lateral pula jumpa di mana? Okey. Ada dua jenis juga. Consists of vascular cambium and cork cambium. Ada dua jenis, Terdiri daripada cambium vascular dan cambium gabus kita panggil. So, iaitu di mana? Di stem. Stem pun ada, akar pun ada. Tempat di mana lateral meristem tissue are found. Tempat di mana meristem tissues are found in the stem, along the stem as well in the root as well. Yeah. Okay. So dia kata di sini jumpa ada dua, consist of ada dua jenis vascular cambium. So, lihat gambar ini vascular cambium over here. Vascular cambium iaitu okay, let me draw. Just now I draw this cross section of hyposphere. Yang warna merah ini. Warna merah ini ialah vascular cambium. This is vascular cambium. Di antara flow dengan xylem. So this is vascular cambium. And we have another one. We call that cambium gabus ataupun cork cambium. Cork cambium, where is found? Cork cambium is found just under the epidermis. Just under the epidermis, we have cork cambium over here. Just under the epidermis. This is the location of the cork cambium. This is cork cambium, cambium gabus. This is vascular cambium, cambium vascular in the end. So dua jenis lateral meristem, meristem lateral. And oleh kerana meristematic tissue meristem terlibat dalam growth, pertumbuhan, tumbuhan. So the next pages, everything to do with the growth of plants. Let's see. Page number 12. 16.2.2 menguraikan kedudukan zon pembahagian sel, zon pemanjangan sel, dan zon pembezaan sel dalam pucuk dan akar. We are going to see the location of the zone of cell division, zone of cell elongation, and zone of cell differentiation in the root and shoot. We are going to see that. Saya baca dulu. Mengenal pasti zon pembahagian sel, zon pembahagian pemanjangan sel, dan zon pembezaan sel dalam radikel anak benih. Dia kata we have to identify the zone of cell division, the zone of cell elongation, and the zone of cell differentiation in the radicals of apa kita panggil anak benih, seedling, right? Okay, let's see one by one. All right, okay. Number one, the changes in organisms which start from the zygote stage to an adult is known as growth and development. Perubahan yang berlaku dalam organisme bermula daripada peringkat zygote sehingga dewasa disebut sebagai pertumbuhan dan perkembangan, growth and development. Of course lah, changes in organism, perubahan yang berlaku starting from zygote Like what we learned last year, chapter 15, zygote become 2 cell, 2 cell become 4 cell, 4 cell become 8 cell, then become morula, then become blastocyst, then become embryo. After embryo, it becomes fetus. After fetus born, it becomes infant, and so on. So changes in organism bermula daripada zygote sampai dewasa dipanggil growth and development. Perubahan yang berlaku dalam organisme bermula daripada zygote sampailah dewasa disebut sebagai pertumbuhan dan perkembangan. Of course, kalau kita lihat daripada zaman kanak-kanak sampailah dewasa, of course, there are many changes occurs in our body. We become more taller, body weight increase. Then kalau lelaki, hair comes out in the body, I mean, all over the body, especially we have mustache, we have beard. So all these are changes in organisms that occur. So we call this pertumbuhan dan perkembangan, growth and development. Of course, here now we are going to see growth and development in plants. Growth and development in human, kita sudah belajar semasa chapter 15 dulu. Here we only focus on plant. Baik, number 2, zone of cell growth. Zone pertumbuhan sel. So now we are going to see kawasan di mana pertumbuhan sel berlaku. Zone of cell growth ataupun zone of pertumbuhan sel. The tips of shoot and roots, of course, kita fokus hujung pucuk dengan hujung akar sahaja because these are the places where growth occurs. Growth occurs. Just now we already mentioned to you. So we only focus on shoot and root for time being. Later kita akan tengok pula untuk vascular cambium, vascular cambium and cork cambium later. Tapi di sini kita mula dengan tip of shoot and root because di hujung pucuk dan hujung akar ada meristem yang bertanggungjawab untuk growth, pertumbuhan. So the tips of shoot and roots can be divided into 3 zones of cell growth. 3 zones of growth. Hujung pucuk dan hujung akar tumbuhan dapat dibahagikan kepada 3 zon pertumbuhan sel. 3 zones of cell growth. Because kawasan hujung pucuk dengan hujung akar ialah zone of cell growth. A zone di mana pertumbuhan berlaku. The plant gets taller and taller, the root grows deeper and deeper into the soil. So the tip of the shoot and root, hujung pucuk dan akar adalah zone pertumbuhan sel, zone of cell growth. And this zone is divided into 3. Zon pertumbuhan ini dibahagikan kepada 3 zon. Yang pertama dipanggil zone of cell division ataupun zon pembahagian sel, the first zone. The second zone, saya baca ikut urutan, zone of cell elongation ataupun zon pemanjangan sel. Dan yang ketiga, the last one ialah zone of differentiation. Hold on for a while. Let me check the textbook. Oh, I see. All right. Can you do some correction here? Zone of cell differentiation. Saya tertinggal perkataan cell di sini. So tolong tambah zone of cell differentiation ataupun zone of pembezaan sel. Jadi hujung pucuk dengan hujung akar terbahagi kepada 3 zon. Zon yang pertama ialah zon pembahagian sel, zone of cell division. Yang kedua ialah zone of cell elongation ataupun zon pemanjangan sel. Dan zon yang ketiga ialah zone of differentiation, cell differentiation ataupun zon pembezaan sel. Okay. The growth that happens in these zones is the primary growth for plants. Pertumbuhan, I'm going a bit slowly here. Pertumbuhan yang berlaku dalam zon-zon ini merupakan pertumbuhan primer bagi tumbuhan. You see, bagi tumbuhan ada dua jenis growth. Satu kita panggil primary growth, satu lagi kita panggil secondary growth, pertumbuhan sekunder. Ada, kita akan tengok. Let me show to you. You see there, pertumbuhan primer, pertumbuhan sekunder, primary growth dengan secondary growth, pertumbuhan sekunder. So dalam tumbuhan ada dua jenis tumbesaran, ada dua jenis pertumbuhan. Satu dipanggil primary growth, satu lagi dipanggil secondary growth. Pertumbuhan primer dengan pertumbuhan sekunder. Dan di hujung akar dengan hujung pucuk hanya melibatkan primary growth ataupun pertumbuhan primer. So primary growth dengan ataupun pertumbuhan primer hanya berlaku di kawasan yang ada apical meristem apex, iaitu at the tip of shoot and root ataupun hujung pucuk dan hujung akar sahaja. Next page. Okay. Zone of cell growth at the shoot tip, zone pertumbuhan sel pada hujung pucuk, zone of cell growth at the root tip, ataupun zon pertumbuhan pada sel pada hujung akar. So remember, kita nak tengok the first growth iaitu primary growth, pertumbuhan primer. Dan pertumbuhan primer ataupun primary growth hanya berlaku di kawasan yang ada apical meristem. Dan kita tahu bahawa satu-satunya kawasan yang ada apical meristem ialah hujung pucuk, iaitu hujung pucuk, which is this one, dan hujung akar, which is this one. So this is tip of the shoot and this is tip of the root. Kawasan di mana berlakunya primary growth ataupun pertumbuhan primer. Dan yang melibatkan melibatkan apical meristems. Okey. Cuba kita lihat hujung pucuk dulu. So this is hujung pucuk. As we know just now, hujung pucuk terbahagi kepada 3 zon. The zone of cell growth at the shoot tip is divided into 3 zones. 3 zones of cell growth. 3 zon pertumbuhan sel. Zon yang pertama dipanggil sebagai zone of cell division ataupun zon pembahagian sel. This is the zone of cell division. Zon pembahagian sel. That is the first zone. Zone of cell elongation, selepas di bawah zone of cell division ialah zone of cell elongation ataupun zone pemanjangan sel. This is the zone of pemanjangan sel, zone of cell elongation. Di bawah zone of cell elongation ialah zone of cell differentiation ataupun zone pembezaan sel di bawah zone of cell elongation. Dan di bawah ini ialah mature tissue. So below the zone of cell differentiation ialah mature tissue. Tissue yang sudah matang di mana no growth occurs there. Growth doesn't occur in I'm talking about primary growth just now. Fix in your mind, I'm talking about primary growth, pertumbuhan primer. Tidak berlaku di kawasan yang ada mature tissue. So primary growth doesn't occur here. So primary growth hanya berlaku di 3 kawasan ini. Zone of cell division, zone of cell elongation, zone pemanjangan sel, dan zone of cell differentiation, zone pembahagian sel, pembezaan sel. And of course, we are going to see in detail what happens at these 3 places. Kita tengok sekejap lagi. Di hujung ni kita ada shoot apical meristem, meristem's apex hujung. Di hujung pucuk we have apical meristem, shoot apical meristem, leaf primordium. For your information, apabila apical meristem melakukan cell division, melakukan mitosis, one of the part that will be produced is called the leaf primordium. Vascular tissue starts to form, so vascular tissue akan bermula di zone of cell elongation. Tissue vascular mula terbentuk, xylem, phloem, cortex, epidermis. So kalau kamu tengok di sini, xylem, phloem, cortex dengan epidermis hanya dijumpai di zone of cell differentiation ataupun zone pembezaan sel. No xylem, no phloem in the zone of cell elongation. Dalam zone pemanjangan sel memang tak ada xylem dengan phloem. Because xylem dengan phloem and also cortex and epidermis terbentuk after differentiation only. So they are found in zone of cell differentiation. Okay, let's go to the zone of cell growth at the root tip. Kita nak tengok zone pertumbuhan sel pada hujung akar. Okay, bermula daripada bawah sebab akar pergi ke bawah. So we start down here. Yang pertama adalah root cap ataupun jidal akar. Function dia very simple, just to protect the tip of the root. So the root cap ataupun jidal akar is to protect the root tip, melindungi hujung akar itu sahaja. We have root apical meristem over here. So this is the root apical meristem at the tip of the root. Now this is the first zone. We call that, I'm going according to the sequence. Zone of cell division ataupun zone pembahagian sel. That is the first part. The second part after zone of cell division, the second part is this. Oh, sorry. The second part is the zone of cell elongation ataupun zone pemanjangan sel, terletak di sini. This is the zone. As you can see, there is no vascular tissues here, no phloem, no xylem here. All right. And the third one, after zone of cell elongation, selepas zone pemanjangan sel ialah zone of cell differentiation ataupun zone pembezaan sel. The third one, this is the zone of cell differentiation ataupun zone of cell pembezaan sel. Dan as you can see here, zone of cell differentiation is the place where differentiation occur, pembezaan berlaku. So you can start to see cortex, root hair, phloem, xylem as well. Lepas tu matured tissue, no more primary growth over there. No primary growth over there in matured tissues. Okay. Dan kalau very famous question, soalan pernah tanya, dia bagi gambar hujung akar. Okay, cari di mana zone of cell differentiation. Kenal pasti zone pembezaan sel. Very simple. Tempat di mana, okay, soalan tanya di mana akar. Saya sedang merujuk kepada akar. Soalan tanya di manakah zone of cell differentiation bermula. Di mana zone pembezaan sel bermula. Very simple to know, very simple. The place where root hair are starting to grow. Oleh kerana the root hair starting to grow over here. So from here, is the starting point of zone of cell differentiation ataupun bermulanya zon pembezaan sel. Tempat di mana bermulanya pertumbuhan rambut akar menandakan tempat bermulanya zone of cell differentiation ataupun zon pembezaan sel. Salah satu soalan yang sangat utama dalam objective question. Okay, so we already saw the zone of cell growth at the tip of the shoot, one, and the zone of cell growth at the tip of the root as well, yang melibatkan primary growth ataupun pertumbuhan prima. Okay, seterusnya, okay, yang ni ialah micrograph. Micrograph menunjukkan kedudukan apical meristem. So, at the shoot tip, this is the location of the apical meristem. Ini ialah leaf primordium. This one, leaf primordium. This is the leaf primordium. So, this is the apical meristem, very small place. Dan akar, this is the root cap, jidal akar. This is the place of apical meristem in the root tip. Okay, micrograph, zone of cell division, the first zone, zone pembahagian sel. But number one, apa berlaku di sini? Takes place at the apical meristems, which consists of actively dividing meristem cell through mitosis. So, berlaku pada meristem apex yang terdiri daripada sel-sel meristem yang giat membahagi secara mitosis. So, zone of cell division berlaku di tempat yang ada apical meristems, meristems apex. So, iaitu betul-betul at the tip of the shoot and betul-betul at the tip of the root, as what we saw last time here. So, you can see this is the zone, this is the apical meristem at the tip of the root, and this is the apical meristem at the tip of the shoot. So, this is where zone of cell division occurs, berlaku. Okay, so what happens here? At the meristem apex ataupun apical meristem, there are cells known as meristem cells, cell meristem. And what these meristem cells do, they carry out cell division actively. So they only have one function: divide, divide, and divide. They don't do other things. And of course, the cell division involved here ialah mitosis. Talking about growth, only mitosis are involved. Kalau dia melibatkan sexual reproduction, then only meiosis comes into the picture. So here we are only talking about growth. So for growth, only mitosis is involved. So apa berlaku di zone ini? Di zone ini terdiri daripada meristem cell, sel meristem, dan berfungsinya ialah carry out mitosis. Melakukan mitosis, membahagi secara aktif, producing new plant cells. Okay. The increase of the number of cells causes elongation of the plant stem. So, pertambahan bilangan sel menyebabkan peningkatan kepanjangan batang tumbuhan. Of course, bila berlaku cell division, the number of cells increase. So here, when the meristem cells, when cell meristem melakukan mitosis, bilangan sel tumbuhan at the tip of the shoot and at the tip of the root increase in number. So bila bilangan sel bertambah, there is an increase in the number of cells. So logically speaking, the tip of the shoot elongate. The tip of the root also elongate, memanjang, due to the increase in the number of cells. Maknanya the shoot, the pucuk semakin tinggi, akar, the root semakin ke dalam. Itu maksud dia. Okay. When new cells are formed, the cells formed previously are pushed to the zone of cell elongation. Jadi semasa sel baru terbentuk, sel yang terbentuk sebelumnya ditolak masuk ke dalam zon pemanjangan sel. So when new cells are produced, bila sel-sel baru dihasilkan, sel-sel yang terbentuk sebelum tu akan ditolak perlahan-lahan masuk ke zon pemanjangan sel, zone of cell elongation, di mana at this zone something else occurs. Okay, so to make it very simple, apa berlaku di zone of cell division? Apa berlaku di zone pembahagian sel? The meristematic cells, cell meristem, actively carry out mitosis, producing new plant cells. Okay, dan seorang juga pernah keluar, okay, how does this new plant cells look like? That's why there's a picture here, small vacuole, cytoplasm, nucleus, dan cell wall. Baik, apakah ciri-ciri new cells produced at the zone of cell division? Kalau soalan tanya, ini jawapan dia. They have very small vacuoles. Vacuole mereka sangat-sangat kecil. The cytoplasm is dense. Sitoplasma sangat padat, tumpat. The nucleus is big. Nucleus dia besar. Dan cell wall dia sangat nipis. The dinding cell, the cell wall is very thin. Why the cell wall is thin? There is a purpose. So these are the characteristics, kalau soalan tanya, these are the characteristics of the new cells produced in the zone of cell division. After zone of cell division, like what we read at number 2 just now, number 3 just now, when new cells are produced due to cell division, mitosis, sel-sel yang terbentuk sebelum tu akan ditolak, akan ditolak masuk ke the next zone, iaitu zone of cell elongation ataupun zone pemanjangan sel. Let's see what happens. Consists of cells that are increasing in size. Terdiri daripada sel-sel yang mengalami pertambahan size. Size sel itu bertambah, become longer. The increase in size happens through, number 1, water diffusion by osmosis and the absorption of nutrients into the cells and stored in the vacuoles. Pertambahan saiz berlaku melalui resapan air secara osmosis dan penyerapan nutrien ke dalam sel serta disimpan di dalam vacuum. What causes the cell to become longer? What causes the cell to elongate? Apa yang menyebabkan sel itu boleh memanjang? Dua benda. Satu, kemasukan air secara osmosis. Water diffuses into the plant cell, into the new plant cell by osmosis. Dan nombor 2, due to the absorption of nutrients. So let's see bagaimana water diffusion by osmosis dengan penyerapan nutrien ni boleh menyebabkan sel itu memanjang or grow lah. Baik. Small vacuoles fuse to form large vacuole. Proses ini dipanggil, this process is known as vacuolation. Vacuole kecil yang bersebelahan bergabung untuk membentuk vacuole yang bersaiz besar. Proses ini dikenali sebagai pemvacuolan. So langkah pertama ialah what must happen? All the small vacuoles yang terbentuk will combine. So bila vacuole kecil ni bergabung, maka dia akan membentuk satu vacuole yang besar. It forms a large central vacuole. Dia akan membentuk satu vacuole yang besar di tengah-tengah. So proses di mana the small vacuoles combine to become larger vacuole is known as vacuolation ataupun pemvacuolan. So after all the small vacuole, lepas vacuole kecil ni bergabung membentuk satu vacuole yang besar, apa langkah seterusnya ialah the diffused water exerts pressure against the cell walls which pushes, elongates and widens the cell. So kemasukan air mengenakan tekanan terhadap dinding sel lalu menolak, memanjang dan melebarkan sel. What is the name of this pressure? Can I know? What is the name of this pressure? We call that Turger pressure. In English, we call Turger pressure. Dalam bahasa Melayu, tekanan segar. So what happens here? I think you dah biasa dengan ini sejak form 4 dulu. Chapter 3 we learn. So bila air masuk dalam plant cell by osmosis, later the water will enter the vacuole also by osmosis. So bila air masuk dalam vacuole, what happens to the vacuole? The vacuole will expand. So when the water enters the vacuole by osmosis, menyebabkan vacuole membesar, mengembang. So when the vacuole expands, the vacuole will push the cytoplasm. And the cytoplasm pula pushes the plasma membrane towards the cell wall. So tekanan yang dikenakan oleh vacuole ke atas cell wall ini dipanggil Turger pressure. And remember just now what I said to you, bila kita lihat ciri-ciri sel at the zone of cell division, just now I mentioned to you the cell wall is very thin. There is a purpose why the cell wall is very thin, because the cell wall is very thin menyebabkan sel ini boleh memanjang. Kalau cell wall tu tebal, already become rigid, then the cell cannot elongate. So because the cell wall is still thin, cell wall dia masih nipis, so this Turger pressure mampu menyebabkan cell wall dia ditolak, memanjang dan sel tu jadi lebar. So the cell wall tu boleh diregangkan lagi. Cell wall itu can expand, diregangkan. Okay, so cell wall pushes, elongate and widens the cell. So bila dinding sel tu ditolak akibat daripada Turger pressure, tekanan segar, so cell wall akan meregang. The cell wall expand, so causing the whole cell untuk memanjang. That is what happening here. Then later, after sel tumbuhan tu dah mencapai size yang maximum, after the plant cell achieves its maximum size, now the cell wall will become thicker. The cell wall will be thickened with more cellulose, and when the cell wall is thickened with more cellulose, later it becomes rigid. And after it becomes rigid, it is no more flexible and cannot elongate anymore. Therefore, it already becomes matured. So this is what happens. So the Turger pressure causes the cell to elongate. This is water. Tapi tadi kita baca bahawa the increase in size, number 2, the increase in size happen because also due to absorption of nutrient, penyerapan nutrient. Okay, saya nak tanya, dalam buku teks tak ada. So I'm going to ask you, how this absorbed nutrients causes elongation? Anyone? Bagaimana penyerapan nutrient ini menyebabkan size sel itu memanjang? Let me tell you, ya. How the nutrients help in the elongation of cells ialah the nutrients are used to produce more cytoplasm. The nutrients are used to produce more cytoplasm. So when more cytoplasms are produced, the volume of the cell will increase, and when the volume of the cell increases, of course, the cell will elongate. Right. This is how cells elongate. So we are done with zone of cell elongation. So now let's go to the third zone yang dipanggil sebagai zone of cell differentiation ataupun zone pembezaan sel. So let's see what happens here. Consists of differentiating cells that differentiate once they have reached their maximum size. Terdiri daripada sel-sel yang membeza dan pembezaan berlaku apabila sel telah mencapai saiz yang maksimum. So, after zone of cell elongation, the cells are moved. Sel-sel akan ditolak masuk ke zone of cell differentiation, zone pembezaan sel. So, lepas sel itu mencapai maksimum size tadi, dah capai size maksimum, maka now the cells are ready to differentiate. So, apa maksud differentiate? I think you already know. The cell will change its shape. Itu maksud differentiate, pembezaan. So, kalau dalam tumbuhan, some of the cell, we can see number 2 here. Cell differentiate to form permanent tissues such as epidermis, cortex, xylem, phloem. Sel-sel membeza membentuk tisu kekal seperti epidermis, cortex, xylem dan phloem. So, bila pembezaan berlaku, they will form permanent tissue. Permanent tissue means after that, no more differentiation, no more elongation. They remain in that size for many years to come. No more growth after that. Itu maksud permanent tissue. So dalam tumbuhan, these cells differentiate to become the epidermal cells that forms the epidermis. They differentiate to become the parenchyma, collenchyma, sterenchyma that forms the cortex. Xylem and phloem, they become xylem vessel, they become a sieve tube cell, cell tapetes, and so on. So they will become epidermis, cortex, xylem, phloem, dan sebagainya after they differentiate. So they become permanent tissue, tisu kekal yang tidak boleh membesar lagi, cannot grow anymore. Right. Number 3, the cells change their shape as I said to you just now. Apa maksud pembezaan? Apa maksud differentiation? Ubah bentuk. So, and structure to become specialized cells with specific function. So, sel berubah bentuk struktur dan struktur untuk menjadi sel khusus yang mempunyai fungsi yang spesifik. Of course, after the process of differentiation, they become specialized. Selepas pembezaan, mereka menjadi sel yang khusus. Sel yang khusus ataupun specialized cell means they have their specific duty to carry out. Contoh, what do epidermis do? Or protect the inner parts of the stem from the outside world. What the cortex do? Store food, for example. What does xylem do? Transport water, mineral, ion. What does phloem do? Transport product of photosynthesis. So after differentiation, specialization occur. Pengkhususan berlaku di mana lepas differentiation, they will have each of the cells will have different function, fungsi yang spesifik yang perlu mereka jalankan. Example, epidermal cells in leaf differentiate to form gut cell that control the opening of stoma. Pada contoh, sel epidermis pada daun membeza dan membentuk sel pengawal untuk mengawal bukaan liang stoma. Saya rasa you faham ni kan? Epidermal cell in roots differentiate and form root hair cell. Sel epidermis pada akar membeza dan akan membentuk sel rambut akar. So differentiation causes specific cells to be produced with specific function. Okay, faham? So A dengan B ialah dua contoh hasil differentiation ataupun pembezaan. 16.2.4 memerihalkan jenis pertumbuhan primer and sekunder. So now we are going to see two types of growth, dua jenis pertumbuhan yang berlaku dalam tumbuhan. Satu dipanggil sebagai primary growth and another one is known as the secondary growth. So why we are learning here? Remember what I told you, kita berada di subtopik yang paling besar iaitu meristematic tissue 16.2. So meristematic tissues are involved in growth. So sama juga di sini, talking about primary, we have two types of growth in plants. One is called primary growth ataupun pertumbuhan primer. Another one is called pertumbuhan sekunder ataupun secondary growth. And these two types of growth, of course, they involve meristem tissues as well. Tissue meristem. So let's see. Types of growth, jenis pertumbuhan. There are two types of growth that occurs in plants. So, dua jenis pertumbuhan yang dialami oleh tumbuhan. Apa nama mereka? One is called primary growth, pertumbuhan primer. Another one is known as secondary growth ataupun pertumbuhan sekunder. Dua jenis pertumbuhan dalam tumbuhan. Okay, let's see what are they. First, kita mula dengan primary growth ataupun pertumbuhan primer. Is the growth that occurs after germination and takes place in all plants to elongate their stems and roots. Merupakan pertumbuhan yang berlaku sebaik sahaja selepas percambahan dialami oleh semua tumbuhan untuk menambah panjang batang dan akar. So, now, when does primary growth occur? So, primary growth ataupun pertumbuhan primer berlaku sebaik sahaja the seed, biji benih itu bercambah. You know, biji benih dia akan bercambah kan, keluar daun, akar dan sebagainya kan. So, after germination starts, primary growth will occur. Dan primary growth berlaku dalam semua tumbuhan. In all plants, herbaceous plant ka, non-woody ka, eudicote ka, monocot ka, non-woody ka, woody ka, doesn't matter. Primary growth occurs in all plants. Can you tell me one evidence showing that all plants undergo primary growth? Tell me one evidence, satu bukti yang menunjukkan bahawa all plants undergo primary growth. Bagi tahu. Evidence yang menunjukkan bahawa all plants undergo primary growth because all plants grow taller and taller. Any plant that doesn't grow taller and taller, is there? Setiap tumbuhan, tak kira monocot ka, eudicote ka, non-woody ka, woody ka, herbaceous ka, apa ka, all plants grow taller and taller, all the roots grow deeper and deeper. This is a proof showing primary growth is occurring. The purpose of primary growth is to increase the height of the plant as well as it causes the root to grow deeper and deeper into the soil. That is the purpose of primary growth. B, takes place in the apical meristems at the shoot tips and root tips. Berlaku pada meristem apex yang terdapat pada hujung pucuk dan hujung akar. Okey. Di mana, in which area of the plant primary growth occurs? In which area? Primary growth only occurs in the area that have apical meristems ataupun meristem apex. So, dan kita tahu what are the areas that have the apical meristem ataupun meristem apex, dua tempat ni saja, shoot tip and root tip. Maknanya primary growth hanya berlaku di kawasan shoot tip and root tip. Because primary growth involves meristem, apical meristems ataupun meristems apex sahaja. It doesn't involve lateral meristem. Meristem lateral tidak terlibat dalam primary growth. Faham semua? starts when the meristem cells in the zone of cell division of apical meristems are actively dividing. Bermula apabila sel-sel meristem pada meristem apex dan zon pembahagian sel giat membahagi. So that means after germination, lepas the seed germinate, once the meristem sel-sel meristem yang ada di apical meristem, yang ada di meristem apex, the moment the meristem cell starts to divide, maknanya primary growth already start. Bermula dah. Faham semua? Kalau soalan tanya, this is followed by elongation and differentiation of the cell as usual lah. So mula-mula cell division berlaku. Lepas cell division, elongation berlaku. Lepas elongation, differentiation berlaku. So hal ini diikuti dengan pemanjangan sel dan pembezaan sel. So the moment apical meristem apex starts to divide mitosis after germination, primary growth sudah bermula. And it continues until the plant is still alive. It occurs continuously. Okay. Okay. Hold on for a while. Okay. Baik. At the shoot tips, pada hujung pucuk. Okay. Let's see. Primary growth at the tip of the shoot. Leaf primordia and shoot primordia will grow to form new leaves and shoots. Primordium daun dan primordium tunas akan tumbuh membentuk daun serta pucuk baru. Okay, let's look at the picture. This is the picture, a micrograph showing the tip of the shoot, hujung pucuk. So kawasan ni ialah kawasan di mana adanya apical meristem. So this is the place where primary growth occurs kalau pucuk lah. So we have something called leaf primordia. Leaf primordia becomes new leaf. This is the older leaf. Trichome ialah bulu-bulu bulu-bulu halus yang terdapat pada tumbuhan itu. So this trichome is a very small fine hair, bulu halus that ada fungsi macam-macam lah. For example, the trichome prevents animals from eating them because some of the trichome will give itchiness. You know, for example, pokok bulu ada trichome bulu halus. You please sentuh dia, then you become itchy. And other use trichome also involve like cuticle. Trichome also prevents excessive loss of water because the trichome apa kita panggil forms a thick layer of air. Anyhow, doesn't matter. None of the business. I'm just making you to understand more. That's all. Trichome is like a fine hair. And bud primordium akan membentuk tunas baru, a new shoot. New shoot means dia akan bentuk new branch. Saya ulang balik. Bud primordium forms a new shoot, and later the new shoot, as they grow, they become branches, ranting. So, faham? So this is what happens at the tip of the shoot. This enables the plant to increase in height. Ini membolehkan tumbuhan menambahkan ketinggiannya. So, primary growth di kawasan hujung pucuk at the tip of the shoot causes the shoot to increase in height. That means the plant grows taller and taller. Why the plant needs to grow taller and taller? Anyone? Why the plant needs to grow taller and taller for what? That's right, to get more sunlight. So by getting enough sunlight, for maximum absorption of sunlight, they can do photosynthesis. So when they can do photosynthesis, they can produce food for their growth. Bagus, semua soalan betul. So that means Primary growth enables plants to grow taller in order to get more sunlight for their survival. Next, this is what happens at the shoot. Now let's look at the root. At the root tip, because root tip also has a meristem apex, other apex meristem. So the root cap will become exhausted when they penetrate the soil. Bahagian jidal akar akan menjadi haus apabila menembusi tanah. Let me finish this. This causes the cells at the root cap to be replaced by the meristem cell. Hal ini menyebabkan sel-sel jidal akar digantikan dengan sel-sel meristem. Okey, apa cerita ni? Let's look at the picture. Oh, over here. Sorry, over here. This one. This is the tip of the root. Kawasan ini, this space, this is known as root cap, jidal akar. We call this root cap, jidal akar. So what is the use of the root cap, jidal akar? So this root cap, jidal akar, it protects the tip of the root from damage. Because the root has to grow through the soil particle. And you know lah, soil particle, dia sangat kasar. So kalau tak ada root cap, jidal akar, that means the tip of the root will be damaged. When the tip of the root is damaged, then apical meristem there damaged, then there will be no growth anymore. So just to protect the tip of the root from damage due to abrasion with the soil. Abrasion means geseran dengan partikel-partikel tanah itu. So here comes the root cap. So yeah, betul. When the root grows deeper and deeper, the root caps will become damaged because of daya geseran dengan partikel-partikel tanah. Abrasion kita panggil. So now what the root apical meristems will do? The apical meristems in the root will do mitosis, producing new cells that becomes the root cap, further protecting the root cap, the tip of the root from damage. Finished learning about primary growth. Now, let's go to the second type of growth yang dipanggil sebagai secondary growth. Pertumbuhan sekunder. Let's see what happens during secondary growth. Let's see, yeah. Occurs mainly in eudicots. Oh, okay. Kelas minta buat pembetulan sedikit. EU sebenarnya bukan UE. I made a typo mistake there. Tolong tukar UE jadi EU. I made a mistake there. Change please. Occurs mainly in eudicots. Eudicots and a small number of monocots. To increase the circumference of diameter of plant stem and root. Berlaku kepada kebanyakan tumbuhan eudicot dan sebilangan kecil tumbuhan monocot, for example shrub pokok rendek, untuk menambah ukur lilit atau diameter batang dan akar tumbuhan. I want to ask you, before we continue further, what is eudicot? What is eudicot? I think monocot, you know lah, what is that, right? What is eudicots? So before we move on to secondary growth further, let me explain this first, just to make sure that, I mean, there is explanation here. Look at the cursor I'm moving. This is the explanation for eudicot. You can read that, but I want to explain by another way. But listen. Now, bercakap pasal tumbuhan, plants ni ada macam-macam kategori. One of the category of the plants are known as angiosperms. Angiosperms. So apa maksud angiosperms? Flowering plants. Flowering plants are known as angiosperms, and they bear their seeds in the fruit. Biji benih duduk dalam buah. So mereka mengeluarkan bunga dan biji benih dia duduk dalam buah. Pokok jenis ini dipanggil sebagai angiosperms. And these are the most advanced plants. Tumbuhan yang paling advanced sekali, this one. Okay. Now, under angiosperms ada dua kategori. Satu dipanggil sebagai basal angiosperms. Saya guna AS, angiosperms. Basal angiosperms, and another one is known as core angiosperms. So there are two categories, basal angiosperms and core angiosperms. Under these core angiosperms ada dua kategori. The first one ialah monocots, and the second one ialah apa? E dulu. Eudicots. Okay, and okay, now. So here comes the monocot and eudicots under flowering plants. This is not for exam, just for information only. Apa maksud yang ini? Okay, how to differentiate these two? Bagaimana nak bezakan dua ini? Baik, kalau kita ambil biji benih, there's a picture there. Muka surat 20, there's a picture there, right? You can see that as well. Page 20, there's a picture there in our notes. Okay, this is the soil. Okay, ini biji benih. Kita tanam dua jenis biji benih. Biji benih ni bila dia bercambah germinate, dia mengeluarkan struktur macam daun, tapi bukan daun, satu je. And this is the root lah. Dia mengeluarkan struktur seperti daun, tapi bukan daun. They are not true leaves. Kalau keluar satu je, this is monocot. Mono means one. Kalau biji benih ni bercambah, keluar macam ni, ada dua struktur macam ni. One and two. Di sini baru ada daun. So if the seed germinate, something comes out. Two green color structure comes out. Dua struktur warna hijau macam daun, bukan daun. They are not true leaves. So kalau dia bercambah ada dua struktur ini, we call this eudicots. Okay, dulu you call them dicots, dicotyledon. Yes or no? During your PT3, you call them dicotyledon. Okay, for information, nowadays this term cannot be used anymore. Tak boleh digunakan. I mean, biologists from all over the world, they make a decision due to some reason. These terms cannot be used anymore. Dilarang. Should not be used anymore. Ganti dicot dengan perkataan eudicots. So some say dicot just now, betul. This is dicot. A part of them are, but we cannot use this term nowadays. Dilarang, tak boleh pakai. So ganti dicot dengan eudicot. So these are called cotyledon. Ini ialah cotyledon. They are not leaves. They are green color but not leaves. After this, then the true leaves comes out. Daun yang betul akan keluar selepas ini. So apa guna cotyledon? Cotyledon for what? Store food, that's right, store food. Cotyledon ni guna dia untuk menyimpan makanan. You know why? Because bila biji benih ni bercambah, when the seed germinates, there are no true leaves yet. Daun yang betul belum keluar lagi. Maknanya the young plant cannot do photosynthesis yet. Tak boleh melakukan photosynthesis. So now apa dia buat? Dalam cotyledon ini, which is a part of the seed. Cotyledon is a part of the seed. It is not a leaf. So dalam cotyledon ada stored food. Ada makanan, ada nutrient dalam tu, disimpan dalam biji benih. The mother plant tapau the food. The mother plant tapau the food inside the cotyledon for this young baby. So dalam cotyledon ini ada sumber makan, ada nutrient. So during germination, the young plant depends on the nutrients from the cotyledons for its metabolic activities, generating energy for growth and so on. Once leaves comes out, once true leaves comes out, and the plant is able to carry out photosynthesis, and then the cotyledons are not required anymore. They will shrink in size, dry, and fall off. And then bila daun dah keluar, pokok ni boleh buat photosynthesis dan menjana makanannya sendiri, tak perlu bergantung kepada cotyledon ini lagi. Ini maksud Eudicot. Okey, baik. Okey, saya sambung. B. For non-woody plants such as herbaceous plants, secondary growth does not happen. Tumbuhan tidak berkayu seperti tumbuhan herba tidak mengalami pertumbuhan sekunder. So, kalau primary growth, every plant, small or large, every plant will experience primary growth, but not secondary growth. Only those eudicots and very small number of monocot, ataupun let's make it simpler like this lah. Every woody plant and some non-woody plant will experience secondary growth as well. So B dia kata untuk tumbuhan tidak berkayu non-woody plant, contoh herbaceous plant, secondary growth tidak akan berlaku. So only certain plants will have secondary growth. For example, eudicot, a small number of monocot, ataupun woody plant, a small number of non-woody. Others, no secondary growth, only primary growth. See, result from the division of lateral meristem cells located in the stem and root. Terhasil daripada pembahagian sel meristem lateral yang terdapat di batang dan akar. Jadi, kalau primary growth, ianya melibatkan apical meristem, meristem apex. Kalau secondary growth, ianya melibatkan lateral meristem cells ataupun cell meristem lateral. So dalam secondary growth, bukan apical meristem yang terlibat. No, not meristem apex, but lateral meristems ataupun cell meristem lateral. Faham? Okay, baik. Let's move on. Lateral meristem consists of, saya minta maaf, terlupa nak bawa bahasa Melayu kat sini. Alamak, okay. Lateral meristem consists of, meristem lateral terdiri daripada dua jenis. Satu dipanggil sebagai vascular cambium. BM-nya ada di sini, mana dia? Cambium vascular. Ini dia. Cambium vascular, dan satu lagi dipanggil sebagai cork cambium. Dalam BM kita panggil sebagai cambium gabus. So, what are the lateral meristem? Apakah meristem lateral? Ada dua jenis. Satu dipanggil sebagai vascular cambium ataupun cambium vascular dalam BM, dan satu lagi dipanggil sebagai cork cambium ataupun cambium gabus. Where they are located. Kalau vascular cambium, cambium vascular located between phloem and xylem tissues in vascular bundle. Terletak di antara phloem and xylem tissues in vascular bundles, manakala cork cambium located under the epidermal layer. Okay, mari saya lukis. Okay. The stem, okay. So we have the vascular bundle. Okay. You know, right? UD cord punya stem looks something like this. This is the pit, cortex. Ini adalah vascular bundle. So we call this vascular bundle ataupun berkas vascular dalam BM. So this is xylem, this is phloem. Tengah-tengah ni kita panggil sebagai vascular cambium ataupun cambium vascular. So this is vascular cambium ataupun cambium vascular yang terletak di antara xylem dengan phloem. So this is xylem, this is phloem, this is cambium vascular or vascular cambium. So first, yang kedua, di mana cork cambium atau cambium gabus? Cambium gabus atau cork cambium is just below, terletak di bawah epidermis, below the epidermal tissue. So below the epidermis, bawah epidermis, kita ada di sini, we have this cork cambium just below the epidermis. So this is the location of the cork cambium atau cambium gabus. So vascular cambium, cork cambium, cambium vascular, cambium gabus. So dua ni ialah lateral meristem, meristem lateral. Okay, let's look at this picture for a while. So we have periderm. What is periderm? Tungusat. Tunggu sekejap, kita akan tengok kemudian. Then we have cortex. We already seen this last time. Primary phloem, secondary phloem. We're going to see this later in the second slot later. Yeah. Secondary xylem, xylem secunda, primary xylem, xylem primer, and also we have pit dalam bahasa Melayu dipanggil sebagai empulur. So you can see here secondary phloem, secondary xylem, and secondary xylem atau xylem secunda dan phloem secunda adalah hasil secondary growth. So primary growth menghasilkan primary xylem, primary phloem. Kalau secondary growth dia menghasilkan secondary phloem ataupun phloem secunda dan secondary xylem ataupun xylem secunda. Now let's see secondary growth at the stem. Baik. Secondary growth at the stem, pertumbuhan sekunda pada batang. Let's see. Baik, number one. Bengkok pula. Secondary growth at the stem and pertumbuhan sekunda pada batang. Okay, let's see. All right. Number one. Secondary growth starts when the vascular cambium divides actively through mitosis. Pertumbuhan sekunder bermula apabila cambium vascular membahagi secara mitosis dengan aktif. So, in the stem, when does the secondary growth start? So secondary growth bermula sebaik sahaja vascular cambium ataupun cambium vascular membahagi secara mitosis dengan aktif. So when the vascular cambium starts to do mitosis, then secondary growth start already. Okay. Cells in the cambium ring, divide inwards to form new xylem and outwards to form new flow. Sel-sel dalam gelang cambium membahagi ke arah dalam, membentuk xilem baharu, dan ke arah luar membentuk phloem baharu. The new xylem tissue becomes secondary xylem and the new phloem tissue becomes secondary phloem. Tisu xylem yang baru akan menjadi xylem sekunder dan tisu phloem baharu akan menjadi phloem sekunder. Apa cerita ni? Okay, let's see. Now, this is the cross section of the stem. We have vascular bundle. Okay. Then warna orange ini ialah vascular cambium, cambium vascular. Okay. Right. So this is the cross section of the UD cord stem. All right. So this is, what is this? This is primary xylem. And this is primary phloem because now we are learning growth. So kita sebut perkataan primary itu. So this is primary xylem, primary phloem. Baik. Warna orange ialah vascular cambium, cambium vascular, lateral meristem. So langkah pertama ialah apa akan berlaku ialah the cells, the meristem cells yang ada dalam cambium vascular cambium ini akan mula melakukan mitosis. So when the cells in the cambium vascular cambium carries out mitosis, dia akan membentuk ring. Dia akan membentuk satu gelang cambium, a ring of cambium like this. So this one do mitosis, it forms a ring. Something like this. So we call this a ring of cambium. Yes or no? Cambium ring. So we call this cambium ring ataupun gelang cambium. So langkah pertama, the cells in the cambium, the vascular cambium, carry out mitosis, forming this ring. Okay. Then what happened? Okay. All right. So the cells in the cambium, the vascular cambium, continues to do mitosis. So bila dia teruskan mitosis, when the cells in this cambium ring carries out mitosis, melakukan mitosis, what happened? It will form two groups of new cells. Dia akan membentuk dua kumpulan sel baru. One inwardly, another one outwardly. Satu kalau dalam BM, satu ke arah dalam, satu lagi ke arah luar. Mana dia? Macam ni. So, this is the cambium ring. So, the cells here will do mitosis, forming two sets of tissues. One inwardly, another one outwardly. Satu ke arah dalam, satu ke arah luar. So, this is one set of the cells. Here also one set of the cells. Okay, saya lukis semua lah. Sebenarnya di sekeliling ring dia akan bentuk tau, bukan di sini saja. The whole part of the ring it forms. So it becomes like this actually. So, saya padam Ustaz. So the cells here do mitosis, forming new tissues on inwardly di sebelah dalam. So this one producing new tissues here. So these are the new tissues formed inwardly. Okay, inwardly. We see the picture in the notes later. Baik. Kemudian, the cells in the cambium also carry out mitosis, forming new tissues outwardly di sebelah luar. That means this part. So it forms a new cells here also. These are the new cells formed outwardly di sebelah luar. Saya lukis sikit sudahlah. Saya lukis sikit saja. I just draw a little bit only. Okay. Are you clear? Faham tak? Kalau saya besarkan kawasan ini, it looks something like this. Saya besarkan kawasan ini. So warna orange ialah vascular cambium. This orange color is the vascular cambium. So bila dia buat mitosis, a new set of tissues form inwardly di sebelah dalam, which I letakkan warna merah here. And also it forms new cells on the outwardly di ke sebelah luar, which is this. Macam tu. So it forms new tissues inwardly and outwardly. Dan tissues form inwardly, tisu yang terbentuk di sebelah dalam ini becomes the secondary xylem. Ingat, ini ialah primary xylem, ini ialah primary phloem. So this is the secondary xylem. And the new cells form outwardly di sebelah luar ni. This one becomes the secondary phloem. This becomes the secondary phloem. So now we have primary phloem, primary xylem, secondary xylem, secondary phloem, and primary phloem. Okay. And let's look at the picture first. This one. So this is the epidermis. We have the primary phloem. This is the vascular cambium. The warna coklat ni ialah primary xylem. So bila vascular cambium ini melakukan mitosis, this is warna hijau ialah vascular cambium. Dia akan membentuk the two sets of new cells. One inwardly, this one, and another one outwardly, this one. So sel baru yang terbentuk di bahagian dalam becomes secondary xylem, dan sel baru yang terbentuk di sebelah luar ke sebelah luar ini, ke arah luar ini membentuk secondary phloem. Okay, there is another picture here, another diagram here. As you can see, the vascular cambium membentuk ring dulu. The vascular cambium forms a ring first. After the vascular cambium forms a ring, what happened? Cells on the inside. So this is the vascular cambium. So cells on the inside becomes the secondary xylem, and cells on the outside yang warna putih sikit tu menjadi primary phloem. Secondary phloem. Yang hujung ni adalah primary phloem. When undergoing secondary growth, primary xylem is pushed towards the pit, whereas primary phloem is pushed towards the epidermis. So apabila mengalami pertumbuhan sekunder, xylem primer ditolak ke arah ulur, manakala phloem primer ditolak ke arah epidermis. So as you can see from my drawing just now, when secondary xylem and secondary phloems are produced, what happens here? primary xylem akan ditolak ke arah pit. So this will be pushed towards the pit and the primary phloem will be pushed towards the epidermis. Are you clear? Because cambium ini, the vascular cambium bukan menjalankan mitosis sekali saja. No, it keeps on doing mitosis every year. Keeps on doing mitosis every year, non-stop. So as time goes by, what happened? The secondary xylem will increase. So when the secondary xylem increases, the primary xylem will be pushed towards the center. So this place becomes compressed. Bahagian tengah ni dimampatkan. So all the primary xylem akan dimampatkan ke bahagian tengah over to the peak. So all this becomes compressed. Okay. And same thing here also. When more xylem, when more secondary phloem are produced, so this primary phloem will be pushed toward the epidermis. So they are pushed towards the epidermis. What do you think will happen? As a result, the primary xylem tissues are compressed to form stronger wood layer. Akibatnya, tisu-tisu xylem prima dimampatkan untuk membentuk lapisan kayu yang kuat. This is because the walls of xylem are thickened with lignin. Using. Maybe they had class. Oh, masuk tadi. Hold on for a while. Okay. So as a result, the primary xylem tissues are compressed to form stronger wood layer. Tisu-tisu xylem prima dimampatkan untuk membentuk lapisan kayu yang kuat. This is because the walls of xylem are thickened with lignin. Hal ini disebabkan dinding zalur xylem ditebali lignin. Okay. As we know, dalam eudicots ataupun woody plants, the xylem are always lignified. Dalam cell wall xylem ada lignin. Saya rasa kita pernah belajar yang ini. So dalam cell wall xylem vessel ada lignin. So and we know that this lignin causes the xylem vessel to become very, very strong. So this causes the xylem vessel to become very, very strong. And saya juga pernah sebut bahawa due to the lignin in the cell wall of the xylem vessel, this enables the xylem, the primary xylem, to provide mechanical support just because of the lignin. So the lignin causes the cell wall of xylem vessel to become very, very strong. So during secondary growth, when these primary xylems are compressed towards the center, so apa berlaku? Bahagian tengah-tengah pokok itu, they become a very strong wood layer, membentuk lapisan kayu yang kuat. Okay, let me show to you. Secondary growth in woody plants. Let me see videos first. Okay, let's see image first. Okay. Hold on. Saya nak cari gambar yang sesuai. Mana dia? Yeah, this one. No. Yeah, this one. But I hope you can see this picture well. Gambar ini. Now look at the pit. This is the pit. Okay, Pinterest. Okay, never mind. This is the pit. Kawasan tengah-tengah pit. So the pit also is compressed. So lama-lama pit juga compress, dia akan bergerak ke bahagian tengah-tengah tu. Compress to the middle. Lepas tu hardwood. Can you see hardwood here? The dark part is called hardwood and the lighter part is called sapwood. What is hardwood actually? Hardwood here terdiri daripada primary xylem. So during secondary growth, what happened? The primary xylems are compressed towards the middle, compressed towards the pit, dan kawasan tengah-tengah ni menjadi darker. The colors become darker and they are called hardwood. So what is the content of the hardwood? It is primary xylem. It is totally primary xylem. And as the primary xylem is compressed towards the center, after many years, the primary xylems will die. Mereka akan mati. So mati and they will not carry water anymore. So that part becomes very, very hard. Jadi kayu yang sangat keras. Okay. The thickening of lignin provides mechanical support to plants. So penebalan lignin memberikan sokongan mechanical kepada tumbuhan. So the same thing with secondary xylem as well. Secondary xylems also the cell walls have lignin. So as more secondary xylems are produced, as more secondary xylems are produced, more lignins are produced as well. So it can provide mechanical support to the plant. So that's why we have very big trees still able to stand walaupun angin kuat dan sebagainya, masih boleh berdiri dengan tegak because of the secondary xylem, thanks to the lignin found in the cell wall of the xylem vessels. Okay. When the secondary xylem layer is compressed, there is an addition to the circumference of the stem which causes the epidermis of the stem to stretch and crack. Apabila lapisan xylem sekunder dimanfaatkan, berlaku pertambahan lilitan batang dan menyebabkan epidermis batang meregang serta retak. Okay, now balik ke lukisan saya. As more secondary xylem are produced, and more secondary phloem are produced. So here there are increased, the tissues are increasing. Tissue dia semakin bertambah. So secondary phloem pun bertambah, secondary xylem pun semakin bertambah. So what happened? The diameter of the stem will increase. So as the secondary xylem increase, as the secondary phloem increase, so this causes the diameter of the stem to increase as years goes by. So bila diameter stem bertambah, the tree gets more mechanical support. The tree gets more mechanical support. Kemudian, bila circumference of the stem, when the diameter of the stem increase, what happen? Epidermis of the stem stretch and crack. Epidermis akan retak, epidermis akan meregang dan dia akan retak. So as you can see in this picture, you see the outer bark here. Okay, before that. Okay, this one. You see here, this part stretches and cracks. They break. These parts break. So bila epidermis pecah, what is going to happen? Bila epidermis pecah, what is happening here is that pathogens can go in. Foreign materials can go in and causes disease to the plant. But does this happen? Adakah ini berlaku? Okay, cuba tengok gambar ni. You tengok the outer part of the stem, yang kita panggil bark ini. What is happening here? It is stretched and meretak. So bila dia retak, what happen? Pathogens can go in, microorganisms can go in, anything can go in and cause disease to the plant. But does this happen? This doesn't happen. What is the reason? Let's see. Microorganisms cannot enter. Why? Okay, here comes the number 1 until number 5. We saw the vascular cambium, the first lateral meristem. Now we are going to see what the second lateral meristem, meristem lateral yang kedua akan buat, iaitu cock cambium, cambium gabus. Sekarang what this will do. So cock cambium actively divides to form cock cells on the outer side and cortex on the inner side. Cambium gabus membahagi dengan aktif membentuk sel-sel gabus di sebelah luar dan cortex di sebelah dalam. What is this? Let's see. Okay, tengok sini. This is the original epidermis. So bila the diameter increase, so this epidermis will, stretch and crack. Now, di bawah epidermis, just below the epidermis, we have the second lateral meristem. Just below the epidermis, we have the second lateral meristem known as cock cambium, cambium gabus. Apa dia buat? Okay, it also will carry out mitosis. The cock cambium also carries out mitosis. Bila dia menghasilkan mitosis, sama macam tadi. Let me draw this a bit bigger. This is the cracked epidermis, and this is the cock cambium located just below the epidermis. Okay. Now, sama macam cock cambium, sama macam vascular cambium, cambium vascular. So dia juga cock cambium also will do mitosis. So bila dia buat mitosis, dia akan menghasilkan dua lapisan sel-sel baru, 2 layers. One inwardly, another one outwardly. So apa nota cakap tadi? Cock cambium actively divides to form cock cells on the outer side and cortex on the inner side. So when this cock cambium membuat mitosis, dia akan menghasilkan sel-sel baru di sebelah luar dan sebelah dalam. Sebelah luar dan sebelah dalam. Di mana sel-sel baru yang terbentuk di sebelah dalam, they become cortex. They become cortex. And the new cells form outwardly di sebelah luar. This becomes cock cells. Mereka menjadi cock cells. And what these cock cells later become? They become the bark. So the cock cells later becomes the bark. So epidermis masih duduk di luar. Bukan this all happens below the epidermis, not after the epidermis. No. So when the cock cells are formed, what happened? The cock cells seals the stem again. Even though epidermis is cracked, but because of we have the cock cells, bakteria tak boleh masuk. Dihalang oleh cock cell yang kemudiannya menjadi bark, kulit kayu yang baru, the new the skin of the plant, kulit kayu yang baru. So bacteria, pathogen, foreign particle tak boleh masuk and cannot cause disease. Itu maksud ayat itu. The cock layer protects the stem from insect and pathogen attack when the epidermis is cracked. Lapisan gabus melindungi batang daripada serangan serangga dan patogen apabila epidermis merekah. Get the point? Okay. So the cock layer forms the bark. It forms the new skin lah macam tu. So the cochlear takes over the job of the epidermis. Epidermis crack already, so now no more use. So tugas dia diambil alih oleh cochlear that protects the stem from infections and so on. Okay, this is secondary growth in the stem, at the stem, pertumbuhan sekunder pada batang. This is quite famous in essay question for your information. Okay, clear? Let's see the pictures here. This is the picture I took from the textbook. So epidermis, primary phloem, cambium, vascular cambium, primary xylem, tengah-tengah ni adalah pith. So we have cork cambium over. This is cork cambium just below the epidermis. This is the orange color is the secondary phloem. Yang warna yang kuning itu ialah secondary phloem, yang warna orange ialah primary phloem. The green color is the cambium vascular cambium, and the pink color is pink, I think. Pink, I don't know. This is the secondary xylem, and this is the primary xylem. Ditolak ke arah pit. And you can see here shed of epidermis because the epidermis stretch and cracks. As time goes by, so warna pink ni or the pink color is still cork cambium. This is the cork cells that forms the bark. This is the primary phloem. This is the secondary phloem. The green color is the vascular cambium vascular. This is the primary secondary xylem, and the brown color is the primary xylem. As you can see here, the size of the primary xylem is becoming smaller and smaller due to increasing pressure compressed by the secondary xylems. Next picture. Yang paling penting di sini, when you see these pictures, you have to know where is the primary xylem, where is the secondary xylem, where is the primary phloem, and where is the secondary phloem. This picture is quite famous for objective question. So please make sure shade of epidermis, cork gabus, cork cambium, cortex. Yang most important, primary xylem, the dark brown color. Secondary xylem, this one. Primary phloem, yang di luar sekali. Okay, then we have secondary phloem between the primary phloem and the vascular cambium. Paling penting, you have to identify where is the xylem and phloem, both primary and secondary. Okay, now let's go to secondary growth at the root. Pertumbuhan sekunder pada akar. Okay, saya ulang balik. This page number 24 and 25 just now. 22 and 25 is quite famous in essay questions. Yeah, but now let's look at the root. What happens at the root? Increase the circumference of the root, menambahkan ukur lilit akar. Jadi kalau secondary growth that occurs at the stem, secondary growth that occurs in the stem increases the diameter of the stem. Manakala secondary growth at the root increases the diameter of the root. Simple, okay? The secondary growth process at the root is the same as the secondary growth of the eudicot stem. Proses pertumbuhan sekunder pada akar serupa dengan pertambahan sekunder pada batang eudicot. It means that nota untuk secondary growth at the stem and secondary growth in the root are the same actually. They are the same. No difference. If you are very good with the secondary growth at the stem, so the root doesn't become a problem for you. It is the same actually. Let's see. Vascular cambium cell divides actively and combine to form a complete ring, just like this now. Sel-sel cambium vascular membahagi dengan aktif dan bergabung untuk membentuk gelang yang lengkap. So, the vascular cambium, sel-sel cambium vascular akan melakukan mitosis. When they carry out mitosis, they form a ring. Okay, let's see the picture. Okay, this one. Let me make it bigger. Okay, where is the vascular cambium? The light blue is the vascular cambium. Cambium vascular, the light blue. This I took this from the textbook. Yeah. So bila vascular cambium carry out mitosis, it forms a ring. Let's see the ring. Can you see the ring? This is the ring of the vascular cambium. Is the ring can be seen here? No. No, right. So bila vascular cambium vascular carry out mitosis, what happens? The amount of the vascular cambium increase and forms a ring just like this. This is the ring, the light blue color. Now, later what happened? Okay. The cells in the cambium ring divides inwards to form secondary xylem and outwards to form secondary phloem. Sama macam tadi. Seolah-olah kita baca balik nota secondary growth at the stem just now. Sel-sel dalam gelang cambium yang membahagi ke arah dalam membentuk xylem sekunder dan ke arah luar untuk membentuk phloem sekunder. So when the cells in the cambium ring divide by mitosis, what happens? It forms two layers of cell, one inward, one outward. So the cells form inwardly becomes the secondary xylem, and cells that forms outwardly, sel yang terbentuk ke arah luar akan menjadi phloem sekunder, secondary phloem. Sama macam tadi kan? I cannot see any difference here. Okay, let's see the picture. Sel ke arah dalam menjadi secondary xylem, sel ke arah luar menjadi secondary phloem. Mana dia? Let's see. Kita besarkan gambar dia. Okay. So, this is the primary phloem and this is the primary xylem. So, bila berlaku when the cambium ring divides, let's see what happened. Okay. All right. So this is the primary xylem. The last pink color is the secondary xylem. You see? So the light blue is the vascular cambium vascular. So cell di bahagian dalam. Look at my cursor. The cell di bahagian dalam, the inward, the one that grows inwardly becomes the secondary xylem, and the cells that grows outwardly. Sel yang apa? Tumbuh ke arah luar akan menjadi secondary phloem, which is this one. So the light green is secondary phloem outward, and the light pink is secondary xylem inward growth. This is the cambium. Okay. Balik ke nota tadi. Due to vascular cambium activity. What is the activity? Okay, producing secondary xylem, producing secondary phloem. The root becomes thicker. Akar menjadi semakin tebal. Akar menjadi semakin tebal. That means the diameter of the root will increase. Okay. I want to ask you, does the root also provide support? Of course, yes. Look at this picture. Let me show you. Jangan terkejut tengok gambar akar ini. Buttress roots in forest. I mean, you want to see this, you have to go to forest lah. Then you can see very clearly. Our nearest forest will be this Gunung Jerai. I mean those from Kedah lah over here. Now look at this. My goodness, look at this apa akar ini. You see how big the root grow. These are roots. Imagine. So what causes the root to become like this? Very simple, secondary growth. So roots also plays a very important role in giving support to the plant. If the roots are gone, there's no support, pokok akan jatuh. Very simple. You can see the size of the root, you can see the size of the pokok, I mean relatively to the human being right here. All these are caused by secondary growth. Okay, balik ke nota kita. The cork cambium located under the epidermis divides actively to form cork cells, just like just now. No difference at all. Cambium gabus yang terletak di sebelah bawah epidermis membahagi dengan aktif untuk membentuk sel-sel gabus. So, as usual, as the diameter of the root also increase, of course, the epidermis layer of the root also will stretch and break. So, bila epidermis akar stretch and break, so there is a chance for pathogens and other foreign particles to enter as well. So same thing like just now, the cork cambium, cambium gabus yang terletak betul-betul di bawah epidermis will carry out mitosis producing cork cells, sel-sel gabus that menggantikan epidermis yang dah retak tu. Okay. The cork cells provide protection to the root tissues. Gabus memberikan perlindungan kepada tisu akar. So saya rasa you faham. As you can see from this picture, the last one, primary xylem semakin mengecil, compressed towards the center. The secondary xylem increase more and more. The dark blue is the vascular cambium. The light blue is the secondary phloem, and the light brown is the cortex. And this is the epidermis. Below it, we have the cork cell, not labeled here, the cork tissues. So, nota untuk secondary growth at the root sama dengan nota secondary growth at the stem. Kita beralih ke muka surat 27. Let's go to page number 27. Annual ring. Okay. The age of plants living in temperate climate can be determined based on the annual growth rings in the stem. Umur, the age of plant, usia bagi pokok yang hidup di kawasan beriklim sederhana dapat ditentukan berdasarkan gelang tahunan pada batang pokok. Jadi, for those plants, for those trees in temperate climate, negara yang ada 4 musim, they form something called annual growth rings, like what you can see in this picture. So you can see dark rings yang bulat. We call that annual rings. Kalau kita potong pokok di Malaysia, you cannot see these annual rings. Because in Malaysia, tropical country, throughout the year, there is enough sunlight, there is enough water, rain, and so on. Throughout the year, summer, there is enough sunlight, all. So the growth rate is the same. So because the growth rate is the same, so kita tak nampak annual growth ring. Memang tak nampak langsung. Secondary growth happens at different rates according to seasons. Pertumbuhan sekunder berlaku pada kadar yang berbeza mengikut musim. So bagi negara yang ada 4 musim ini, the growth rate, the secondary growth rate becomes different. Pertumbuhan sekunder berlaku pada kadar yang berbeza due to the 4 different seasons. I'll give an example lah. In spring, musim bunga, During musim bunga, spring season, there is plenty of sunlight, there is plenty of water, rainy season. So because there is plenty of sunlight and plenty of water, what happens? The secondary growth rate is high. Pertumbuhan sekunder berlaku dengan kadar yang tinggi. Lepas tu musim summer pula. Bila mai musim summer, very hot season. Less rain, less water. So not that suitable lah. So because very hot weather, maybe drought happens, kemarau, no water not enough. So what happened? The secondary growth rate, kadar pertumbuhan sekunder adalah kecil, very low rate. So it grows slowly. Then comes autumn, lagi teruk. What happens during autumn? During autumn season, daun gugur. So bila daun gugur, what happens? Musim luruh, daun gugur. Bila daun gugur, for the trees cannot do photosynthesis. Cannot do photosynthesis, then how to get food? No food, then how to grow? So further, the secondary growth rate becomes very, very low. Then comes the winter season. Bila my winter season, temperature very low, below 0 degrees Celsius. Do you think there will be growth under very low temperature? No, right? So another one thing, during winter season also, the daytime is very short, the night time is very long. So there is no enough sunlight. So temperature pula below 0 degrees Celsius. Enzymes cannot work. Then how to grow? So at winter, we can almost say that the secondary growth is zero. No secondary growth during winter. Zero growth. So that means for every season, the growth rate is different. So now let's see what the note is saying here. In spring, when there is when there is enough water supply and sunlight, the secondary xylem form is bigger and the wall is thinner. So semasa spring, musim bunga, what happened? Apabila bekalan air dan cahaya matahari mencukupi, xylem sekunder yang dihasilkan adalah besar dan berdinding nipis. That means telling us the growth rate is very high. That's why the secondary xylem form is bigger. So in spring, air cukup, cahaya cukup, so secondary growth rate is high. Menyebabkan the secondary xylem produce is bigger and the cell wall is thinner. So xylem sekunder yang dihasilkan adalah besar dan berdinding nipis. And the xylem tissues formed in this season are brighter in color. So that's why you can see dalam annual growth ring, you can see a brighter color, darker color, brighter color, darker color. Apa maksud brighter part? The brighter part telling us, oh, growth during that happens during spring season. And because the xylem, the secondary xylems produce, xylem sekunder yang dihasilkan mempunyai dinding yang nipis, memberikan warna yang cerah itu. So tisu xylem yang terbentuk pada musim ini berwarna cerah because of thin cell wall. It is brighter in color. So when we see the brighter color, we know, oh, during this period, it was spring season. We can know. All right. Growth is unsuitable in summer. So bila main musim panas kurang sesuai, pertumbuhan kurang sesuai pada musim panas dan kering, causing the formation of secondary xylem to be smaller with thicker walls. So menyebabkan xylem sekunder yang dihasilkan adalah kecil dan berdinding tebal. because no, the growth rate, I mean, growth rate is very low. That's why the growth is not very, not very suitable here. So less xylem, secondary xylem are produced, smaller, less, and the cell wall are thicker. So why the walls are thicker? In order to protect the secondary xylem from, the harsh weather, the hot weather and the dry weather. That is the purpose. The xylem tissues that are formed are darker in color. So tissue xylem yang terbentuk berwarna gelap. So that's why we have this dark ring. And last one, before we end this part, secondary growth of monocot. So let's see how secondary growth berlaku di monocots, pertumbuhan sekunder tumbuhan monocot. Okay. Some monocots undergo secondary growth such as Dracaena. This is Dracaena. Aloe SP. SP means species. This is aloe vera. And agave. Agave. This is agave down here. All right. So sesetengah pokok monokot memang melakukan secondary growth, sesetengah pokok daripada tumbuhan monokot mengalami pertumbuhan sekunder. Contoh yang itu. So as you can see the picture here, cuba tengok gambar di sebelah sini. Let me explain how the secondary growth occurs here. But this is the keratan rentas Dracaena, pokok Dracaena. If you can see here, they also have cork cambium and they also have cambium here. Tapi cambium ini tidak dipanggil sebagai vascular cambium because you see bagi pokok monocot, this is the vascular bundle scattered around. Bukan macam pokok Udicot, dia bentuk macam ring. Ini dah dia selerak dalam batang dia. So cambium ini bukan vascular cambium, alright? So when this cambium divides by mitosis, dia akan menghasilkan secondary vascular bundle on the inside, invert, and on outwardly di sebelah luar mereka menghasilkan secondary parenchyma. Semua dapat? When the cambium in monocot divide, dia menghasilkan dua set cell. One is inward, another one is outward. The inward one becomes secondary vascular bundle, and the cells forms outwardly di sebelah luar become secondary parenchyma. Okay. And we have cork cambium here as well. So bila cork cambium divide, di bahagian dalam inward dia menghasilkan cortex dan bahagian luar outwardly corks are produced in order to protect the ruptured epidermis later. So these are secondary growth that occurs in monocots. Very simple note. No need to know more than that. Mewajarkan kepentingan pertumbuhan primer dan pertumbuhan sekunder. So now we are going to learn why what is good about the primary growth and what is good about the secondary growth. So why the primary growth and secondary growth both are important. Okay, let's see. Number one, the necessity of primary growth, kepentingan pertumbuhan primer. So what is important about the primary growth? I think we already discussed this before. Allow maximum elongation of plants to absorb sunlight for photosynthesis. Membenarkan pemanjangan pokok agar dapat menyerap cahaya matahari untuk menjalankan fotosintesis. Do I need to explain this? Because we came through this many times, so no need for me to explain, I think. Primary phloem can transport the products of photosynthesis from the leaf to other parts of the plant. Phloem primer dapat mengangkut hasil fotosintesis dari daun ke bahagian lain tumbuhan. Primary xylem can transport water and mineral salt from the soil via the root to the leaf. Xylem primer dapat mengangkut air dan garam mineral dari tanah melalui akar ke daun. So this is the importance of because I told you just now, one of the importance of primary growth is the production of primary phloem and primary xylem. So why the primary xylem is important? To transport water and mineral salt from the root up to the leaf. Why the primary phloem is very important? To transport the product of photosynthesis, mengangkut hasil fotosintesis dari daun ke bahagian lain tumbuhan. I mean, these are the importance of xylem and phloem, semua orang tahu. Primary xylem provide support to herbaceous or young plants. Xylem primer memberikan sokongan kepada tumbuhan herba atau tumbuhan muda. So we know that the primary xylem, the cell wall is usually lignified. Because the cell wall is usually lignified, so it provides support to herbaceous or young plants. I already mentioned this many times before this, right? So it's just dia macam ulang balik sahaja. Okay. The necessity of secondary growth. So why the secondary growth is very important? Apa kepentingan secondary growth? Number one, provide stability to plants by increasing the stem and root diameter to suit the height of plants. Memberikan kestabilan kepada tumbuhan dengan menambah diameter batang dan akar agar bersesuaian dengan ketinggian tumbuhan tersebut. So, provide stability, memberikan kestabilan. As the plant grows taller and taller, the diameter also increase in size. Bila pokok itu semakin tinggi, diameter batang pokok juga bertambah dengan akar sekali. Diameter juga bertambah untuk support pertambahan dalam ketinggian itu. So maknanya it provides stability to the plant, make it stable, memberikan kestabilan, tak mudah jatuh. Yang kedua, provide mechanical support to plant, memberikan sokongan mechanical kepada tumbuhan. I think you faham yang ini. For example, dalam secondary growth, you know, secondary xylems are produced, and usually secondary xylems, their cell walls are lignified, ada lignin. So this lignin causes the secondary xylem to become very strong, which provide mechanical support to the plant, enable to the plant to stand straight. Itu maksud dia. Produce more xylem and phloem tissues, menghasilkan lebih banyak tisu xylem and tissue phloem. Yalah, bila more xylems are produced, more water and mineral salt can be transported. When more phloems are produced, that means the phloem can carry more products of photosynthesis, because as the plant grows more and more, of course, more leaves are produced as well. More leaves mean more photosynthesis, so more foods are produced. In order to transport more food, so more phloems are needed. Logic, right? Produces xylem and phloem tissue continuously to replace old and damaged xylem and phloem tissue, menghasilkan tisu xylem dan phloem secara berterusan bagi menggantikan tisu xylem dan phloem yang tua dan rosak. So when old xylem and phloems, you know, they become old, they become damaged. How they have become damaged? Due to the high compression, due to the high pressure. You know, remember what I told you just now? So due to the high pressure, so the primary xylems and phloem tissues, you know, they become damaged as year goes by. So bila berlaku secondary growth, new xylem and phloems are produced. So they can replace, boleh menggantikan tisu-tisu xylem dan phloem yang tua dan rosak. Produce stronger and thicker bark to provide protection to the plants from excessive water loss, physical injuries, and pathogen infection. So, menghasilkan kulit kayu yang kuat dan tebal. Kulit kayu yang kuat dan tebal yang memberikan perlindungan kepada pokok terhadap kehilangan air yang berlebihan, kecederaan fizikal dan serangan patogen. So we know that secondary growth produces bark, and the bark, the cork tissue, the bark produced is usually more thicker and more stronger as well. So because the bark produced is more thicker, more stronger, so dia boleh memberikan perlindungan kepada pokok itu. Perlindungan daripada excessive water loss, okay, kehilangan air yang berlebihan, lepas tu protection from physical injuries, kecederaan fizikal, and also pathogen infection. Pathogen cannot enter the plant through the thick bark. So that is the use of the thicker bark. So the bark also has a purpose for it. Able to live longer by increasing the chances of seed production and reproduction. Mampu hidup lebih lama dengan meningkatkan peluang menghasilkan biji benih dan membiak. Usually, plants that undergo secondary growth, they are able to live very long, many years. I think you can read from the article I put, the age, some are 4,000 to 5,000 years old. Kita pun kalah mereka dengan mereka. So they are able to live longer, boleh hidup lama. So bila mereka boleh hidup lama, so they can produce more seed. Bila produce more seed, they can reproduce more. They can produce more offspring. Then the species can increase in number. Itu maksud dia. Contohlah kita ada di Malaysia pokok durian, pokok rambutan. Every year the same plant, the same tree, every year produce fruit, giving fruit. So I mean, and ini maksud dia, they're able to live longer and every year they can produce fruit, they can reproduce and so on. Also good for economy lah. Pokok yang melakukan secondary growth memberi sumbangan kepada ekonomi negara. For example, durians, every year they produce fruits which farmers can sell and they can get money. Itu maksud dia. For example, alright, next page. Membanding dan membezakan antara pertumbuhan primer dengan pertumbuhan sekunder dalam tumbuhan Eudicot. So let's compare, kita buat sedikit comparison between primary growth and secondary growth in Eudicot plants. So what are the similarities? Persamaan terlebih dahulu di antara pertumbuhan primer dengan pertumbuhan sekunder dalam tumbuhan Eudicot. So we focus more in Eudicot. Number one, both growths can increase the size of the plants permanently. Kedua-dua pertumbuhan dapat meningkatkan saiz tumbuhan secara tetap. Growth is permanent. Tak boleh patah balik. Like we lah, kita pun sama juga. Our growth is permanent. Can we go back to baby state? Memang tak boleh. That means growth is permanent. So primary growth ke, secondary growth ke, dia membolehkan pokok itu membesar, meningkatkan saiz secara tetap. Itu maksud dia. Both growths occur in woody plants. Kedua-dua pertumbuhan berlaku dalam tumbuhan berkayu. So bagi woody plant, remember what I said to you. In woody plants, primary growth must occur first. Lepas primary growth dah selesai, baru diikuti dengan secondary growth. So in woody plants, both primary growth and secondary growth occur, but not in monocots, not in non-woody plants. In non-woody plants, only primary growth and no secondary growth. Both growths involve cell division by mitosis. So kedua-dua pertumbuhan melibatkan pembahagian sel secara mitosis. So of course, talking about growth, doesn't matter primary growth or secondary growth. In growth, only mitosis is involved, not meiosis. Okay, persamaan dari yang pertama, primary growth dan secondary growth. The first difference, meristem tissues involved. Kalau primary growth, apical meristem, meristem apex terlibat. Kalau secondary growth, lateral meristem, meristem lateral terlibat. Very simple, no need for me to explain. Parts of the plant that undergo growth. Okay, which part of the plant undergoes primary growth? Occurs on stems and roots in younger regions of the plant. On stems and roots in younger regions of the plant. Berlaku pada batang dan akar di bahagian tumbuhan yang lebih muda. Okey. Maksudnya berlaku di tips of the shoot and tips of the root. So tips of the shoot and the tips of the root, ujung pucuk dan ujung akar ada merupakan younger regions of the plant. So that is the place where primary growth occur. Di mana secondary growth berlaku occurs when primary growth has ceased on matured stems and roots. Berlaku apabila pertumbuhan prima telah terhenti pada batang dan akar yang telah matang. So secondary growth hanya berlaku selepas primary growth stops. So berlaku selepas primary growth telah berhenti pada batang dan akar yang sudah menjadi matang, iaitu after zone of cell. Remember, after zone of cell differentiation, the tissues become matured. Bahagian itu merupakan batang dan akar yang telah matang. So after primary growth berhenti, pertumbuhan prima berhenti, secondary growth akan bermula di bahagian stem dengan root, batang dan akar yang sudah matang. Next. Direction of growth, arah pertumbuhan. Direction of growth. Primary growth, growth occurs longitudinally. Pertumbuhan berlaku secara memanjang, iaitu tumbuhan semakin tinggi, akar pula semakin dalam secara longitudinally. Maknanya, or in other words, vertically. Not vertically, vertically. Maknanya tumbuhan ke atas vertical, akar pun ke bawah vertical. So itu maksud dia. Kalau secondary growth, growth occurs radially. Pertumbuhan berlaku secara jejari. Maknanya pertumbuhan diameter. The growth is horizontal. Ataupun there is another word, tangent, tangent. You know, tangent, mathematic tangent, tangential. Another word for that. Dia berlaku secara horizontal. Itu maksudnya. Growth effects, kesan pertumbuhan, increases the length of stem and root of plant. Faham kan? Peningkatan kepanjangan batang dan akar tumbuhan, that is the effect of the growth. Increase, kalau secondary growth, increases the thickness or circumference of the stem and root of plant. So apa dia buat? Dia menambahkan peningkatan ukur lilit batang dan akar tumbuhan. Itu maksud dia. Kesan growth effect, kesan pertumbuhan dia, faham kan? Tissues and structures form, epidermis are formed, cortex are formed, primary vascular tissue. Epidermis akan terbentuk, cortex akan terbentuk, dan tissue vascular prima. Tissue vascular prima, primary vascular tissue means primary xylem and primary phloems are produced. Like what I was telling before this. Secondary growth produce what? Produce bark due to the cork cambium activity. Due to the activity cambium gabus produce bark. Periderm. What is periderm? Cork cambium and cork tissue. Cork cambium and cork tissue are known as periderm. Juga menghasilkan lenticels and secondary vascular tissue. Oh, banyak benda. Let me go slowly here. Kulit kayu, periderma, cambium gabus dan tissue gabus, lenticel. You did not learn lenticel during Form 4. You will learn in Form 5. Dan tissue vascular secunda. bark, periderm. What is periderm? Hold on for a while. There, periderm. Cork tissue dengan cork cambium dipanggil sekali sebagai periderm. For your information, cork cambium, di atas cork cambium ialah cork tissue that forms the new bark. So cork cambium together with cork tissue dipanggil periderm. For your information. Kemudian dia kata lepas tu adanya pembentukan lenticels. Okay, that one hold on for a while. And secondary vascular tissue. Secondary vascular tissue, tissue vascular sekunder bermaksud secondary xylem and secondary phloem. You know that very well. What is lenticels? Do you know? Can I know? Do you know what is lenticels? Class, can you tell me plants breathe through what? Untuk tumbuhan bernafas, for plants to breathe, the most important part involved in plants breathing ialah stoma ataupun stomata. One is singular, one is plural. So, through stomata, the plant breathes. Carbon dioxide, oxygen, the travel through the stomata. Okay, fine. You know that very well. There is another part where plants can breathe also. We call that lenticel. One of the many raised pores on the stem of a woody plant. Okay, let me show to you. Lenticels. Image. These are lenticels. This part. These are lenticels. These are lenticels found on the stem. You see this one? Oh my goodness! You look at this. Each of these benda yang hitam-hitam menonjol ini ialah yang membonjol ni ialah lenticel. As you can see, for this, these are the lenticels. These are the lenticels. Okay. Let me show you the micrograph. Mana dia? This is the stomata actually. This one. Lenticel. This is the cross section of the stem. This is the cross section of the stem. This part is the lenticel. Bahagian yang ada, there are many pores here, lubang kecil. Through these pores, carbon dioxide and oxygen can enter and diffuse out into the stem, enabling the tissues in the stem to breathe. So saya ulang balik, what is lenticel? Apa kita panggil? Lenticels are pores. One of the pores found along the stem, a place for apa kita panggil plants to respire, bernafas. Presence of woody tissues, kehadiran tisu berkayu. Bagi tumbuhan yang mengalami primary growth, there is no woody tissues. Dan bagi pokok yang mengalami secondary growth, they have woody tissues. Okay. Thickness of bark, ketebalan kulit kayu. For plants that undergo primary growth, the thickness of the bark is very, very thin. And those that undergo secondary growth, they have very thick bark, thick cork tissue. You know what's the purpose. And presence of annual growth rings, kehadiran gelang tahunan bagi plants that show primary growth. Absence of annual growth rings, tidak mempunyai gelang tahunan. And for secondary growth, presence of annual growth rings at the plant stem. So they have annual growth rings. Okay, kita sambung dengan muka surat 32, 16.2.7. Menilai kepentingan tumbuhan yang mengalami pertumbuhan sekunder dari segi ekonomi. So, we are going to see why the plants that undergo secondary growth, they are very important source of economy. So let's see why. some examples how plants that undergo secondary growth is very important for our economy. So, I mean, this is very easy, not very difficult. Plants that undergo secondary growth have high economic values because they can produce timber such as Shorea, Meranti, and Balanocarpus cengal. Tumbuhan yang mengalami pertumbuhan sekunda mempunyai nilai ekonomi tinggi kerana dapat menghasilkan kayu balak seperti Shorea and Balanocarpus cengal. Okay, so the first importance of plant that do secondary growth towards the economy ialah they produce timber. Mereka menghasilkan kayu bala. Mereka menghasilkan kayu-kayu yang sangat kuat. For example, we have Meranti and Cengal. Meranti and Cengal are some of the very hard wood. They're very hard wood. For example, Cengal, kita ada Cengal batu, kita ada Cengal emas. They're very strong until termite also cannot eat them. Termite cannot eat them. So strong they are. So some of the cengal batu, cengal I'm very sure, used to make boats due to the very strong property of the wood. So first important, produce timber, menghasilkan kayu balak, which later they used to make furnitures and so on. Yang kedua, plants that undergo secondary growth have strong and hard woods which are suitable to make structures for houseboats, furniture, fences, doors. Tumbuhan yang mengalami pertumbuhan sekunda mempunyai kayu yang kuat dan keras yang mana sesuai digunakan sebagai struktur rumah bot, perabot, pagar, pintu dan lain-lain. That means they produce very strong wood, very hard wood. Like what you used to remember, like what I mentioned last time. During secondary growth, the primary xylem are compressed towards the pit. So when the primary xylems are compressed towards the pit, as time goes by, the middle portion of the stem becomes the hardwood. We call them hardwood. So the hardwood becomes very hard. So due to that process. So very strong and hard wood that can be used to make houseboats, furniture, and so on. The third one, the presence of annual rings makes furniture look attractive and they can be made as decorative items. So kehadiran gelang tahunan pula menyebabkan perabot kelihatan menarik dan dapat dijadikan barang perhiasan. So, you know, these annual rings, we learn the annual rings. So they are very attractive. The annual rings are very attractive. Sangat cantik. So they can be used as barang perhiasan, as decorative item. For example, apa ni, kayu pine wood. You know, pine wood, they have these rings which are very beautiful. And usually pine roots are used to make a wall of the houses and so on, due to the annual rings that give them very attractive look, right? The woods and barks of some plants such as Hopia, Merawan, and Meranti can produce resin and oil. Kayu dan kulit pokok setengah tumbuhan seperti Hopia, Merawan, dan Meranti dapat menghasilkan resin dan minyak. So some of the wood and barks, they produce oils and resins. So what is the use of this oil and resins? They can be used as varnish. Varnish ialah macam cat lah, tapi bukan cat, but one of the purpose is they use varnish to apa kita panggil, to paint the woods, furnitures, giving a nice color to them. Looks very attractive. So varnish is like shellac. You know what is shellac, right? Something like that. Then adhesive substances, bahan pelekat, for example, glue, are made from these resins. Perfume, some of the oils give nice smell, so they can make into minyak wangi perfumes, and medicines as well. Some of the resin and oil are made into medicines. For example, we have like there's for example like I don't know what tree oil. The oil is used. I forget to name already. Green tea oil. I'm not very sure. I forget the name. It used to treat pain in the ears. Example, medicine. All right. Flowering plants, number 5. Flowering plants can be made as decorative plants. Tumbuhan berbunga pula dapat dijadikan sebagai tumbuhan hiasan. So we have some of the secondary plants that undergo secondary growth that produce flowers. Seperti bunga raya dan sebagainya. So because their flowers are very beautiful, so they are made as decorative plants ataupun tumbuhan hiasan. Number 6, commercialized fruits. Commercialized fruits such as mangoes and mangosteen are products of plants that have undergone secondary growth, and they are able to generate income as well as boost economic growth. So jualan buah-buahan seperti mangga dan manggis, iaitu hasil daripada pokok yang mengalami pertumbuhan sekunder, dapat menjana sumber pendapatan dan ekonomi negara. You see, most of the plants that produce fruit, they undergo secondary growth. Nah, salah satu ciri plant that undergoes secondary growth, it lives for a very long time. It keeps on growing and growing and growing, unlimited growth that makes it to live very long, few years. So therefore, what happened? Because the plants that produce fruit, they undergo secondary growth, so they keep on growing. So every year they can produce fruits. Later, the fruits are plucked and sold, so it generates income for people and also boost economic growth of the nation. So menjana sumber pendapatan dan ekonomi negara because plants that produce fruit, as I said just now, they undergo secondary growth. And one of the characteristic of plants that undergo secondary growth, they live for a very long time. So year after year, the same plant produce fruits every year. So every year there is income are generated for farmers. Itu maksudnya. So I think this is very easy, not very difficult.